This video is going to be on platelet counts. There are two types of platelet counts: the automated platelet count, which we obtain from a hematology analyzer, and the manual or estimated platelet count, which we obtain by actually counting platelets on a blood smear. So first I'll talk about the automated platelet count. We perform this because running a sample through an analyzer is quick and easy, and it requires low technical skill. However, the analyzer doesn't recognize individual platelets within a platelet clump. And platelet clumping is a very common in vitro artifact. Whenever platelets are taken out of a blood vessel, they do tend to clump. Sometimes the anticoagulant inhibits them from clumping, but sometimes it can't. So if there is platelet clumping, the estimated platelet count is considered the minimum platelet concentration because it doesn't identify platelets within the platelet clumps. So how do you actually know if there is platelet clumping within your sample? Well, you can look at a blood smear. So the manual or estimated platelet count is derived from a stained blood smear. In clinics, you'll most commonly use DiffQuick. And we perform the manual or estimated platelet count for 3 reasons. First, we do this to confirm a low automated count. And then secondly, making a blood smear and evaluating a blood smear is much cheaper than running a sample through a hematology analyzer, so you may actually perform this if you're worried about cost for the client. And then finally, making a blood smear requires a lot less sample volume than running a sample through the hematology analyzer, so you might actually do this if you can't get enough sample to run it through the hematology analyzer. So how do you actually perform an estimated platelet count? Well, first, you're going to make a blood smear, stain a blood smear, and look at it under a microscope, and you're going to look for platelet clumps. Now, platelet clumps are large, and large things tend to go out to the feathered edge. So first, you're going to look for platelet clumps at the feathered edge, usually at 4x, maybe 10x, and you're looking for these large clumps of platelets. Now, the platelet clumps tend to go out to the feathered edge, but they can also distribute within the body in the monolayer, so you do want to evaluate representative sections of those areas of the smear too. If you see platelet clumps on the blood smear, then you can do one of two things. You can subjectively evaluate the blood smear to see if you think the total number of platelets is decreased or if the degree of clumping pushes it up into the normal range. However, this does require some technical experience and skill. So if you really want to know the actual platelet clump, then you can, the actual platelet count, then you can redraw a sample from the patient and try to get a sample that doesn't have this in vitro clumping. So if you do not see platelet clumping, then you can perform your estimated platelet count. And to do this, you're going to go to the monolayer and you're going to use a 100x objective. This equation will only work in the monolayer at 100x, and that's important. So within the monolayer, you're going to count the average number of platelets per field. And in the clinics, we typically count 10 100x fields and find the average number of platelets in those 10 100x fields. Now, since I just have a picture here, I'm just going to pretend that this one field is representative of 10 100x fields. So this is the average number of platelets in 10 fields. So we count the number of platelets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to plug 10 into the equation. So 10 times 15, which would come out to 150,000 platelets per microliter. Okay, so that's how you do an estimated platelet count on the blood smear, and those are the pros and cons of both automated and estimated platelet counts.